All right, at this point of our meeting, we'll have our citizens' comments. If you have citizens' comments, we just ask that you would please rise, approach the podium, give us your name, your address, and then you'll have 3 minutes to ask your questions. Your answers are not included in the 3 minutes. We just want to go ahead and you can go down the list of all your questions and we'll answer them after you have finished. Are there any citizens' comments tonight? Yes, sir. Yes.
My name is Vanny Williams. I live in Brentwood Terrace. Okay. I had 3 complaints. 2 of them were taken care of by our finance. Okay. My last comment is I'd like to comment the city for cleaning the city street, because now it looks like a city that's been well taken care of because they did an exceptionally good job of cleaning the street. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Are there any other citizens' comments for this evening? Okay, so we'll move on to the next point of our meeting this evening. It is a presentation and an appointment. First, I would like to say we'll bring up WCC students for their participation and being acknowledged as the best in show for the World Food Championship that we had during our Hogs and Frog contest. So if you would please move forward, all of the contestants from the high school. Let's give them a round of applause as they come up here. So we'll have you move forward here, and I'm going to tell you that they're competing with people that are well into the industry and their experience. So our students in our high school, for them to get best in the show, and they're competing against, the Honey Child Please, and Dragon Future, and all the other ones that was out there. So this is outstanding. It's a great step forward in your careers. We want to say congratulations to each one of you. And you're keeping it alive, whereas Mr. Dye is not here. Oh, you ain't coming up? Oh, well, come on. I
feel young again.
Yeah. So you leading this team. We want to say congratulations, but we want to give you guys this trophy from the city for you to hold on and hopefully come back next year and take it up another level. But this is for the Route 66 Hogs and Frogs Festival cooking contest, best in show. Do you remember what you cooked?
Yes, we had a southwestern egg roll and wonton taco.
Okay. Who made it?
Who made the recipe?
Yeah, who did it?
Oh, he came up with the idea and we all.
Y'all executed. So it was a team effort. Mm-hmm. That's what I was trying to get to. All right, so go ahead and we'll just take a picture here and give them another round of applause. Thank you again. Thank you for participating.
Nice job. Off to Dallas.
Dallas?
3 weeks.
They're going to Dallas in 3 weeks to compete again.
Yep. The World Championships.
Glutton for punishment. You know those hours? So we want to win. So this is the second year in a row they're going down to Dallas to compete for the $100,000.
People don't know if they got the best spread in town.
I've had it.
Oh yeah. So we got a lot of talent in our city. So I'm really excited about that they get a chance to go twice. And the thing is the Hogs and Frogs made it possible for our students to compete on a national level. If you ever look at the World Food Championship, go back and look it up on YouTube. You'll see these are people you see on TV, with their own shows. So they're learning a lot, and we're really helping push them in the right direction. With that being said, we also have the other order of business is we have an appointment for Michelle Bays, she's not here tonight, but she volunteered to be a part of our park board. Each one of the council members, you have a copy of her bio that's been provided for you. She's been involved in the community in many different aspects. She's a local business owner and, of course, resident of Waynesville. And she was on the waiting list from the last time that we had it. So we had 2 people that had ended their term of service because they had other things at home that they had to take care of. So we have people always waiting in the wings, and that's something to be proud of. We just have one other person to sign up, but I would entertain a motion to appoint Michelle Bays as a member of the Waynesville City Park Board.
I will make a motion to appoint.
Mr. Rice made the motion, second by Mr. Davis. All in favor? Show of hands. No one opposed? All right, that passes. So we'll welcome her to the team. All those that have been, just so everybody's aware of this, next Tuesday will be the orientation of our new board members. So they come in and they receive a briefing and presentation from myself about the city government, what their part in is how we work together as a team, and their expectations. So anyone that volunteers, you get this instruction before you go to your next meeting. So that will be taking place next week. And if you just want to come by and hear what's going on, you can just meet us here at 5:30. I won't kick you out, but I'll sign you up. All right, so the next order of business is our city administrator's report. And as Mr. Doyle grabs the mic, I will tell you that we have been making small changes to our the way that we conduct our business here in the city as the flow of our meeting. So just be mindful of, there's going to be some things that look a little bit different, but it's because we're trying to be a little bit more fluid and provide a lot more information in a short amount of time. Mr. Doyle?
So before I start the report, I'd like to discuss a little bit on the hard copy that was provided to the public. There are a couple edits that need to be made. The annual CID board meeting is November 7th instead of 10th, and that would be found under Finance and Human Resources. And then on special events, the Christmas parade is December 2nd, not December 5th. So again, I would like to welcome everybody to the October Waynesville City Council meeting, and we will begin going through our reports. First, we do have the Waynesville Park Board, and I believe Rachel is here, so I'm gonna let you join us if you would, and we can kind of discuss some of the discussion topics that we have, and then if you want to expand upon what you see on the slide.
I'm going to pass this around first before I get started. Okay, I'm Rachel Westman. I'm the chair of the Waynesville Park Board. As Mayor Wilson said before, we did have 2 board members that left. We have another one appointed tonight, so we do have another park board spot open. And people are welcome to fill out an application at any time to be a volunteer, and you can just be on the wait list. So when there's an opening, you can just hop right in. So first, I'll talk about the pinnacle at the park and the new pinnacle neighborhood that's being built, and that's what I handed out to you here. So where you see what was highlighted, the circle, that's where the playground's going to be, and then on the second page is the plans for the playground that's going to be proposed to be there. I have gone out to the site, and at our park board meeting, we did all agree to push it forward to be approved by the city council, so that's been requested tonight for that to be. We took a look at everything and it all looks good. Are there any questions about that?
It's going to be across the street from the dog park?
Yes, that's correct. It'll sit off the road a little bit, and there'll be a pavilion. It'll be really nice.
You don't think the kids playing and kids being kids screaming and carrying on will upset the dogs across the street?
It might be good, it might be good for the dogs and the kids to interact with each other then. The dog park will be fully fenced off too. The playground area will be fenced off on two parts of it that will be adjacent to some homes and a walkway, so. Are there any other questions about that?
Is this your proposed playground equipment that you want to get?
I'm not getting it, but the builder is, yes. The one that's on top.
I didn't have that when I was a kid.
I know, it's a nice playground.
And that's because everything was raw steel and
Yeah.
It lasts a lot longer than it used to also.
for him it was the ark.
Long time ago.
So I'm not sure how this part works, but this is something that the council would like to approve.
I think that's later, right?
Well,
I think we need to probably review it, because this is the first time we kind of seen it, and then we can come back.
so with the plat itself, the plat has already been reviewed and approved by both planning and zoning and the council. And on that plat, the lot you see
The
was,
parks were already there, right?
Correct.
That was part of
correct.
the public hearing.
Yes, so all of that has already been checked, and
So what would we have to approve?
so what we're looking at is, what she is looking at is going to consist of putting features in that park,
Okay,
and what features need to be in that park. So what that would be, and so she knows, as we budget things in, Park Board brings projects back to the city ourselves, and we put that in the budget, and we, we put some level of detail in the description of, well, why is this line item budgeted at, 30,000? What does that cover? So there's level of detail. So when we do park projects, we kind of run through the park budget, and the surplus is put into park projects. And then we fund those to the level that the funding allows, if that makes sense. So the equipment that she has planned, or that the park board has planned for, Summit Park, the next step for us is to grab this equipment, make sure that it meets, one, our insurance requirement, two, we price it out through trade, and then we also have to make sure that all the equipment at this park has the space requirements necessary, or the park allows for the space requirements. So when you approve the preliminary budget, you are kind of approving projects in the park. Now, these projects, sometimes things come up through the year that the park board maybe was not aware of in October, November, December. Say they get a grant on something, and they're like, well, we got to match that grant, so let's not do this and do this with the grant funds, and that happens occasionally. So when you go to the finance part of this presentation, and we look and discuss the budget, the project she's presented you is represented in that budget under park improvements.
So we're not paying for this though? This is the park route it's paying?
Maybe.
Maybe, okay.
So any questions on that process? Nope. So keep going.
Okay.
You're doing good, really good.
So y'all have been given a copy of our minutes from last meeting. There were not a lot of park updates. The bathroom at the farmer's market has been repainted, so that's refreshed. The park department did that. We're still working on the pavilion signage. We're just doing the numbers. I expect that to be installed in the next month. That's going to be my personal guarantee, actually. That'll be installed in the next month. That's been an ongoing project that we need to wrap up. There was a presentation by a local citizen to install a disc golf course. We gave him some feedback of some different things that needed to be amended on his plans. We do have some copies of that, if any of the council members would like to take one of those at the end and look at that for future reference. There's a lot of details in there. It's pretty important.
Question, didn't we used to have some of those in Laughlin Park, the disc golf?
Yes.
I don't know.
Did they get washed away in the flood?
Right, 10 years ago.
Still have the equipment.
Mr. Wright said about 10 years ago they did.
Yeah, it's been a while.
In Laughlin Park.
I think they were wood, they make them metal now,
Now, it's
metal chain.
Yeah. And this one's kind of Ruby Park. In the packet, there's a whole map of it.
Well, it probably floated down. Flooded. Never mind.
That must have been before my time. I'm not aware that that was the previous one in Laughlin Park. And then after action report for our September meeting, we did our meeting in the park, where we handed out hot dogs and popcorn. We did surveys with citizens about our parks. That went really well. We had like 62 surveys. We got lots of great feedback. Really, the most noted negative points on there were pretty easy fixes. People seem pretty generally happy with our park, so it was pretty good. It was great to do the community outreach, and we got a lot of great feedback. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Did you get any feedback on the totem pole?
I did not.
Okay.
I don't even think it was mentioned.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? Thank you.
So moving to the next committee was the Utility Committee on October 2nd. During the committee, we discussed MPUA, the 2023 annual conference, which was held in Branson this year. A lot of valuable conversation from that. With that meeting, there was a lot of discussion for sustainable utilities, affordable utilities, renewable energy efforts, also increased regulatory requirements, as well as cost management and cost strategies or cost mitigation. I'm in attendance at that meeting. I was able to attend a day of the meeting, and we also had our electric superintendent, Daniel Sheldon, and water wastewater superintendent, Donnie Beal, and they attended the entire conference. Moving to the next slide was some discussion on the Auburn Streetlight project on Auburn Drive. For a few years, we've been working on trying to look at giving streetlights basically from the intersection that you see there, Court, to the cul-de-sac. Our electric superintendent, Daniel Sheldon, again addressed the committee and stated basically that we would have to service some of this with overhead. As the underground was installed many years ago, it was not in conduit, it was not direct buried pipe, and some of the wiring went bad and was faulty, and therefore the streetlights do not work. The committee agreed to go ahead and provide the streetlights, and we have planned that into the upcoming schedule for the electric department.
Question, is that Waynesville Utilities, or is that McLeod Electric?
This one's Waynesville. Yes, sir.
Okay, how about Forest Hills, next to it? What are they? Are they all McLeod or some of it Waynesville?
Forest Hills, I'm not familiar with that area.
You have Forest Hills, you have Old Farm Estates, you have Brentwood Terrace, but where you're talking about up in Auburn, it kind of backs up to Forest Hills where the water tower is.
Okay, so I know Brentwood Terrace is for sure McLeod,
Right.
and I don't know the service
Well,
of
the point I'm
Forest
trying
Hills.
to get across, John, is if we're going to put some more streetlights out, we need to make sure they're all uniform. And we took Forest Hills into the city about the same time as we took Old Farm Estates and Brentwood Terrace. And I would think the older part of the city is what we ought to concentrate on getting the lights.
So on Auburn, the difference, there is a difference between Auburn Drive and Brentwood Terrace.
Right.
Brentwood Terrace has no street lighting currently. Auburn Drive does have street lights, but they don't work. And that's how I know that Auburn Drive was put in by the city, it is our utilities. It was many years ago when it was installed.
Yeah, Jim Bale built those houses.
Yes.
I remember when that was
Yes.
going on.
And so, with that being said, I'm not sure about Forest Hills.
It's Laclede.
Or it is Laclede. So it is a Laclede. So again, the subdivisions with Laclede is kind of intergovernmental agreement. In a sense, we actually attach streetlights to their existing poles, and they charge us for the electric that those lights use.
Where's that?
So it's a little different concept. If their poles are not in the right location, then we need to set poles and run the line to that, but we still have to, again, pay for the electric that they use.
Ravenwood 2 backs up to Risky Road.
Mhm.
What would stop the city from continuing our electric and put some lights that direction?
The boundary agreement between the city of Waynesville and Laclede Electric. So there is a service boundary agreement right now between both Laclede and the city, and certain areas within that, certain areas within this location of the city fall, you're right on that line. Basically, you're right on that brink. I know.
Is that right on Risky Road?
Yeah, Risky
Starts right
Road,
there.
Brentwood Terrace, that Forest Hills you're talking, all of those, that's gonna be a Laclede service area. But then you go to, this area, and, where Mike France lives, all of
That's right.
that, that's city. So, you're familiar, and that's the break in that.
I just want to give everyone a reminder, please use your mics so that they can hear online.
Chair's too comfortable flying there.
Any more discussion with the Auburn streetlight project? So that, again, you guys probably will remember we discussed Brentwood Terrace street lighting and addressing that in next year's budget as well, going through half of Brentwood Terrace, providing street lights for half of that. We also did that agreement with Laclede, and we budgeted it out. The budget on Auburn street lighting project came out to be less than $10,000. So the committee decided that would be, be the best to at least get the lights working in that neighborhood. Utility committee then began talking about tankless metering and working towards a smart city and a smart metering system in the city. Tankless has been discussed for the better part of a year, maybe a little more, by the committee and the council at times. This system within the city is currently deployed. We deployed tankless east of the Ruby Doo and spent the better part of a week working on the components of the system in City Hall, and then we spent the better part of 3 days deploying that system on the east side of the Ruby Doo. And that system is currently deployed. It is collecting data, and we are starting to process that data to make sure that, it's reading the meters, it's reading the electric meters, water meters. We're starting to get reads and trying to process and make sense of that data. If there's no other questions on the utility committee, those were really a lot of the highlights of the meeting. The next meeting is scheduled November 6th, 3:30 here at Waynesville City Hall. Brings us to the Economic Development Committee, also was held on October 2nd. This business spotlight, which is something I think the city does very well and advertises very well, business spotlight, was Odyssey Scuba. We discussed a little bit about the SEEP and the SBRD grant and some of the users of that. They were, they were thankful. We were beginning to get testimonials back from these users. This is just a sample testimonial thanking the city for, investing not only in our community, but in our businesses through these opportunities with the ARPA funds. This one came from a Place for Grace, and thought we would, add it here for not only the council to see, but the community to look and see.
Can I ask Doug a question?
Sure.
On the business spotlight tonight, do you ever get any feedback from the flyers that we send out in electric bill? Do they ever say anything about those?
Yeah, I do. I get feedback fairly frequently. The biggest feedback I get is from other businesses who have received the flyer in their utility bill, and they ask me if they can participate in the program. So that's the easiest way, but that's what most of it, I'd say 90% of it is. Occasionally I do get a business that reaches out to me, but they haven't been here long enough.
Okay.
So we require them to have been a member of our business community for 24 months before they can be honored.
Okay. I was kind of wondering if it's helping the businesses out by getting...
Oh yeah, there are some businesses which have told me that they've seen an uptick in business,
Good.
or they've received more phone calls. Especially the home-based businesses seem to benefit from it more than the brick and mortar. So it's
Very
working.
good. Thank you.
Good.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, Rob. Good question. Going on to the next item that the Economic Development Committee was briefed on is the EV charging station grant, which is a grant that the city of Waynesville, and really specifically Doug, put together for the city to apply for EV charging stations at several different locations within the city to be selected not only by the reviewers but also the city. And just update that the application is still in progress, and there's not been a hard no or a hard yes. We are in, it is being processed, so we don't know yet on that grant. We also covered the existing CID boundary in the meeting, and this boundary had maybe the opportunity to expand, include other businesses, include more businesses. And we have done some work with Mark Spikerman from Gilmore and Bell on the development of this boundary, the expansion of this boundary, what that needs to look like, how is that possible. And we discussed with the committee on some of his experience that he had told us. And a lot of the boundaries, you try to keep your boundary contiguous, but you also try to keep it within a section. But he said on a CID boundary, that's not necessarily the case. The word he used was gerrymandering. It's not necessarily a bad thing, because on a community like Waynesville, where your businesses are located sporadically, if they have interest in being in the CID, then gerrymandering is a good thing. You go down the road and you grab Casey's, as for example, if they had interest in that. And so I think the main point of the conversation with Mark and the city and the committee was to let you guys know that there is a possibility to expand this boundary if desired, or if that's the direction that at some point that you want to go in the future. We began discussing the Dollar General was the next topic that we had, and the mural update. We have received several prototypes of this mural. And I think this is the one that they've kind of settled on, and there might be slight variations or modifications even to this. And I know as you drive through the city, you probably have seen something that looks like that. That is your Dollar General, that is the Waynesville location, and they have began putting this mural on the side of the building. The artist they have is a fairly well-known artist, and he has if you get on his Facebook and look at some of the art that he has done, he's a very talented person, very talented. Again, another picture of the Waynesville Dollar General and the mural, what it looked like earlier this week. We began discussing the 2023 Hogs and Frogs as well in this meeting. Something to kind of note about the Hogs and Frogs debrief is we really track the it's just a tangible sales tax. It's a sales tax that's directly related to Hogs and Frogs and the event. And this, how you track that is basically you have vendors who specifically showed up to Waynesville for this event. And we are able to see that between now and the end of the year as those sales tax come through. There's also an intangible or kind of a residual effect of Hogs and Frogs. And you would see increased sales in your downtown area. So if any of you guys were able to go to Hogs and Frogs, you know there was some success there. It was better than last year. And we've heard a lot of good comments from people who have attended and had went. And you put 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people in your downtown area, just organically, you're going to increase the sales of businesses located in your downtown area. That's not directly measurable. That's not something that we can go and say, oh, we increase sales tax, this much with this event. That's not measurable, but it is there, and it's true, and it's, it's additional sales in your city, it's additional people in your city, and I appreciate what Rachel had said earlier about the parks and how some of the complaints were minor. We have a great park system, and if we can get people to come and enjoy an event in our park, they're going to come back. There's no way about it. That if you have kids, you're going to be there. There's no two ways about it. So again, this is another event, not only showcasing the class of the city, but also showcasing one of our hidden gems that we want to advertise. And again, the next scheduled meeting for the Economic Development Committee is also November 6th. It is at 5:00 p.m. at Waynesville City Hall. Roads and Grounds Committee met on October 3rd. One of the items that was before the committee was to vacate a portion of Anderson Street. The committee reviewed the plat, reviewed the location, reviewed the owners, adjoining owners, and the committee approved sending to planning and zoning. And an action item from that recommendation to send to planning and zoning is an ordinance to vacate a portion of Anderson Street. Again, discussion is welcome at any time. You can stop me at any time, but to kind of give the idea of the location of where Anderson Street, and this portion of Anderson Street is. Anderson Street, this portion is located near our water tank, concrete water tank on Hospital Road.
I've got a copy of the survey if everybody would like to see it. It shows it 0.18 acres. Right off Hospital Road. There's two existing houses adjacent to it.
And there's also on those houses, you will see encroachment onto the platted right-of-way. Again, something that was should be said or should be noted that the platted right-of-way itself is just that. There's never been a road there that we know of. I mean, it is brush, it is timber, it is trees. It's very steep. It's never been utilized to my knowledge, not in the last 40 years anyway. And that was in the consideration of the committee as well. So as they sent that to planning and zoning, that was some of their consideration. We also, moving forward, if there's no questions, Roads and Grounds Committee discussed Sweetburg Road improvements, and we discussed these improvements to really quantify how long it takes to get these improvements. Sweetburg Road has been in a disrepair for a couple years. It's always something I know very high on Bill Farnham's list because he wants it repaired, but he also understands the importance of doing it right. And with the construction we had at the summit that we knew was pending as we began to look at this road, we realized there were drainage issues. There's a lot of things going on. We're starting to remediate some of those. We're also starting to clear the right-of-way to improve visibility up and down the road as you travel the road. And I just wanted to kind of include that into the report. This is actually the right-of-way clearing that has been completed on Sweetburg Road. It begins at Route 66 or Highway 17 and extends to Summit Pass. We will also be putting a power line for the Summit area that will actually then feed that subdivision, and I'm talking the entire Summit area, not specific. It's the whole area. It will feed that subdivision with electric from two directions. That way, during power outages, we can actually get it turned on quicker if there is a severe issue somewhere else.
John, I did hear some positive feedback from people. They really appreciate the road being cleared out over there as far as the brush and everything, the work that was being done on that road. So everybody knows there's some positive feedback on that, and they notice it. So.
That's good, and I do appreciate some of the concerns that are expressed by the residents up there. And in clearing that out, Mayor, something else that you should know, we actually found and unplugged some culverts that were existing, which actually made the improvements necessary for that road a little less expensive. We have existing infrastructure in the ground that wasn't functioning properly, had trees growing out of it. We've removed those, cleared the culvert. So there's some things going on there that I'm hopeful in the near future we are coming out of this in a much better road, as well as being cleared, and that's important for safety and also for our citizens. There's a lot of citizens that travel that road, and these are just pictures up and down that alignment from, again, Route 66 to Summit Pass. And to finalize that, the next meeting for Roads and Grounds is scheduled for November 7th, 4 o'clock at Waynesville City Hall. The next meeting that was held at Waynesville was the Emergency Service and Police Committee, and it was held on October 5th. Police Department update, we do have some positions that are advertised or will be advertised. We're looking for a detective/corporal non-supervisory position. And we also have an open corporal position within the department. I want to talk about this slide, Waynesville Central Dispatch. I skipped it. The Waynesville Central Dispatch update. We are currently awaiting the arrival of equipment to install at our dispatch at City Hall. We are told that this should be arriving at Waynesville sometime in October. We're getting to the back end of October, so I'm starting to get anxious for that to get here. I know the install time frame was about 3 to 5 days, which is really good. And they are still tracking that, they being RCS, who's the supplier of the equipment. And again, we will be moving forward with that rapidly. I know we are doing a dispatch at a pretty high level. I'm pretty proud of this group, honestly. This group's worked hard to build a team, build a good team, build relationship with the officers, with the police department, and also with City Hall. It's been a lot of work, and they're going to continue with that work. The next Emergency Services and Police Committee meeting will be held November 2nd, 3:30 p.m. at Waynesville City Hall. So we also had Finance and Human Resources on October 5th. Again, we discussed Westgate Community Improvement District, or the CID, and every November there's an annual meeting. This year, the annual meeting is November 7th at 10 a.m. Waynesville City Hall. Again, we have the fiscal year 2024 proposed budget and a review of the first draft, which is in the council packet. And we will be presenting the final draft next month to the council for approval, moving into next year. The next scheduled meeting is November 2nd at 5 o'clock, Waynesville City Hall. Then we had a planning and zoning meeting on October 10th. This planning and zoning, again, was a function of the Roads and Grounds meeting forwarding the vacate of Anderson Street to planning and zoning. The planning and zoning commission met and approved that vacating ordinance. And again, that is an action item for the council later in the meeting. And the next planning and zoning meeting is scheduled for November 14th, 5:30, Waynesville City Hall.
I got a question, John.
Yes, sir.
On the Anderson Street here, where exactly is
By Piney,
It is
by Piney, but,
Anderson Street.
that? Or,
It's up off a hospital.
That
yeah,
portion
I mean, I've
is,
driven Hospital Road probably 20,000 times.
it's kind of weird. So I'm glad you asked that, Rob. So I had a laugh at planning and zoning. I had one of our members, I won't name his name, he come up and he said, "Where's this at? I drove all over." And to me, Anderson Street is West Side Church. I know where it's at, right? I could not find this, but I had an aerial of it, and it looked like a swimming pool. I'm like, I'm looking for a swimming pool, but I never found a swimming pool. Well, then another member of the planning and zoning, I will mention her name now, Twyla Cordry. She said, "Where's this at? I drove all over by West Side." I said, "Well, it's amazing that we didn't run into each other." Because that's where Anderson Street was. But the swimming pool was actually, are you familiar where the concrete water tank is on Hospital Road of the city?
Yes.
It's right there.
Okay.
And it's on the back side of it. It's actually down the hill from it. It's on that steep hillside.
Okay. I know exactly what that's at.
You know
I've
what
seen
I'm
it.
talking? Yeah.
Yeah, Waynesville Hill.
Yeah, so, yeah, it took me a long time. The swimming pool I seen was our concrete water tank. Yeah, and that's, so, yeah, it took me a while. I was on the complete wrong side of the Ruby-Doo for a long time, but then when I found it, I actually got back into the legal description that's provided there that Bob has in front of him, and I went to finding the right, section, township, and range, and it was amazing how far off I was with my mind, but I did get there and then finally found out that's where it is, and it is a short portion. I will tell you some of the discussion that was had at planning and zoning included, ownership. Typically when a street is vacated, half the street is dedicated to one side of the road, the other half is to the other side of the road. In this particular circumstance, both sides of the road are one owner. So he owns all around that one strip. Again, it's pretty well defined in the plat that Bob has, but that was a question that planning and zoning had during that meeting.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
So moving to the Waynesville St. Robert Regional Airport, that meeting, we're actually, we go behind a month because the meeting is the last Tuesday of the month and this meeting is before that. So this meeting was held September 26th. Probably one of the biggest things going at the airport currently is the terminal design. We have roughly a 11,000 square foot terminal designed right now for that Airport. I've given you kind of the layout. Here in this slide, the layout is located on the left side of the TV screen, and the architect or elevation view is on the right side of the screen, and that's what you would see as you drive up to the terminal area. It accommodates for two-way traffic onboarding and offboarding, as well as parking. There will be a new drive to the terminal area in the project as well. I think right now the estimate, now we're very early on, we are supposed to receive 35% plans possibly, I think, the end of October. We will be at 35% design. And right now, early estimates, the project is approximately $12–13 million. Again, these dollars are federal and state, and there are matched to some of these dollars. They're not matched to some of these dollars. And as we start to configure which pots we pay for, we are trying to currently fund this thing through all of the funding that was provided through both state and federal.
I can see you looking at him.
I'm waiting, yeah. I'm waiting.
Airport's
That's
mentioned, I
Bill's
hear
favorite, that's his favorite meeting. He never misses one. The next meeting for the airport is October 24th, 3 o'clock, and this meeting is at Waynesville City Hall. And then right at the last minute, we have some updates. Occasionally we try to put everything in the meetings that we've held throughout the month, but I also want to update not only the council, but the community of the work that's being done at City Hall by the staff. And a lot of this work is just, it's almost second nature. These guys they come to work and they give you all they got for 8 hours. And so, late yesterday, we received notification that the 2023 TAP grant, we as a city received that TAP grant. This is a MoDOT grant. This is the sidewalk grant. This is the grant that you've seen. I know administrations before me and the current administration now, we're under a TAP grant where we're extending from the Ruby Doo Bridge, bringing that sidewalk to Morgan Street. We went ahead again, you submit these in advance. We submitted a 23 TAP grant with 2 alternates, one of them going down I-Court Avenue, the other one going from Morgan Street to I-Court Avenue, and just continuing to try to improve or increase the amount of sidewalks that the city of Waynesville, has for the community to utilize, whether that be, just people actually taking a walk or school traffic with, the moving to school. I was going to walk you through the alignment. This is obviously the intersection of I-Court and Route 66. That's where the end of the sidewalk would be, or the start of the sidewalk would be, however you want to go about it. We are looking at trying to do a signalized crosswalk at this intersection for utilization from Dollar General or something down I-Court Avenue, to where when they got to this intersection, there would be a signalized crosswalk for them to actually then get on the sidewalk. And as you're looking, that's going to be east. Again, you can continue down, and that's kind of the alignments that you see. And keep moving. There's your Casey's, and then obviously you can kind of see there by the sign, at the base of the sign, you can see the Casey's sidewalk. That's kind of what we're wanting to tie into, and then you've hit that intersection at the school, and there's a signalized crosswalk there as well. And then the final thing is special events, which is hit in all committees, and we definitely want to tie in here, and then there will probably be additional comments from the council on that as well. But some of our special events coming up is Pumpkin Fest, October 28th. We'd like to notify the public of the City Hall being closed on Friday, November 10th, in observance of Veterans Day. And then Veterans Day Parade is November 11th, and it will be hosted by St. Robert this year. The Waynesville Christmas Parade is December 2nd, and Christmas on the Square is December 7th.
All right, are there any questions for Mr. Doyle about the administrator's report? All right, we'll move on to the next order of business, which is council discussion, and we did have on the agenda here, we had Mark Roughton with the final plat for Pinnacle Place, but what we was doing a follow-up. Do you have any update on that at all? Are there any updates? I mean, we kind of put this on here so that we said that we was going to talk about it again. We had tabled it to this meeting, so we're just bringing it up as a point if we have to postpone it until probably February for any updates that you may have.
I wasn't at the meeting when you discussed it before, so, I don't know exactly the official reasons it was tabled, so what are those?
So the previous meeting that it was postponed to October were the driveways entering Sweetburg Road. And I know you and I have had a lot of conversations about that and how you were going to possibly address that yourself. And again, the reason that it is brought up this evening was when it was postponed, that meeting, the postponement of that allowed for this plat that you have, because you were going to try to utilize the same plat, but then also utilize a drive off of Sweetburg to access those. I think those are still in play. I had spoke to Mark, I speak to him a lot, but I actually spoke to him on this particular topic maybe a couple weeks ago, and we were trying to generate something then. And the postponement of this, again, Mark, is not out of the ordinary. We can postpone it again to maybe February as your design, because what Mark has to do is take that initial intent and come back with kind of a redesign of the layout with his engineer to access these properties in a manner that would be approved by the city or, favored by the city.
Yeah, of course, we've talked about that. I don't have, of course, we're talking design versus plat approval. And the design change that we will make is instead of there being multiple driveways coming off of Sweetburg Road, there would basically be one entrance that would have a driveway that would be parallel to Sweetburg Road. That would be one way, so there would be one entrance and one exit. Then with multiple entrances to buildings off of that driveway. So Sweetburg would simply, again, just have one entrance and one exit. I don't have that drawn out officially, but again, like we talked about, I didn't know if we were approving design or just approving the plat. So, but we won't, no matter what happens, have individual driveways coming off of Sweetburg where people would be backing into Sweetburg. They'd be entering nose first and exiting nose first. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay?
I think that's perfect.
Okay.
So again, with those considerations, there's a couple options for council. We can postpone or we can approve. And if you approve, remember, you're approving plat only, okay? The plat has went through all the appropriate steps. We went through planning and zoning. Planning and zoning approved the plat and forwarded it to council. At council, I'm not sure, but somebody asked questions about drive locations, backing out onto Sweetburg, and that kind of was what postponed this action through council. If you're satisfied with what you have or what you hear from the developer, again, there can be a vote to approve the plat as submitted. But that is also an ordinance which is not here. We did not have that ordinance in this plat as, again, we didn't have the layout or the communication from, the city. And if that's something you want to move forward with, obviously we can pick this up in November with an ordinance approving that, or we could approve the previous ordinance as submitted in August, I think, is when we looked at that.
Yeah.
I think it was August.
Do we know the ordinance number from August?
I can go.
We could get that.
Go ahead, Nathan.
I just have a question for you, sir. Is this access road going to be a public road or a private drive?
It would be a private drive.
Because if it's public, the city has to maintain it, right?
Right.
If you would like to do that, I'd like to make a motion.
I say we could go forward to bring it back into November and approve it then, as proposed, the plat.
Is that gonna set you back on development if we wait till November? Because I know idle time costs money.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to do it, what is the November meeting around?
About around this time, 15th,
The
16th.
third week.
Third week.
Oh, what is the third week? Well,
Before Thanksgiving.
in all actuality, the work that I'm doing there now, it doesn't matter which direction we go with it. And so we won't need to do something hard, that we have to change before Thanksgiving. So, bottom line, that would be fine.
Okay.
And that date, Mark, is the 16th.
16.
Yes.
All right, well, thank you for the update. Thanks.
Okay.
So we can move
Can I ask a question about the park? I didn't
forward.
understand.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can go ahead. On the park at Pinnacle Place, is that something that will be decided at another time? Are there questions about that?
I think the decision of the park itself was approved on the plat and everything else, because during the public hearing, you said, hey, I'm gonna give up land for a dog park and another park, I'm gonna put in that road down
Yeah.
to Sweetburg Road and all that stuff. I think the only question about that is the finance question. So it's gonna have to go through the Finance Human Resource Committee,
Well, that's where
unless
I
it's
was,
already in the budget,
I
unless
was confused.
you're paying for the equipment.
Well, I thought I was.
If you're
Okay,
paying for the
also
equipment,
too.
the city ain't got nothing.
Again, if you guys want
Go through
to,
an insurance review though.
I'll second the motion. Whatever. But I was under the impression.
Because when she was talking about it, I was under the impression that you were paying for the park
Yeah,
equipment too.
that's where I was confused a
Okay.
little bit, is when I talked with Rachel, I presented, and one reason I'm asking is I'm going to Kansas City tomorrow to talk to the park equipment supplier and the basketball goals and everything else we're doing. So I wanted to know, should I go ahead and hand in the check or not? You know what I mean? But if you guys are thinking, well, you're gonna pay for it, that's fine.
I think you just talked us out of it.
Yes.
So, yeah, now this is getting good now. So in the city parks, typically we try to fund the features through the park. Every time you sell a lot,
Yeah.
you pay a park fee, right? And you gave us that. And so those funds are to put features in a park that benefit the city. And not saying that those fees that the people in the summit pay have to be spent in the summit, but they do have to be spent in our parks. And as we gain new parks, we look to put those features in there. Now, the difficulty, so the basketball court and things like that.
That's a different thing.
Correct. And that's kind of it's kind of a community thing there,
Yeah.
right? So, but the city park itself can be utilized by anybody in the city. And that's key to know. It is convenient for the community up there, but it's also utilized by people in the city. So the thing about the equipment that, has been provided to you guys this evening is there's also review for that equipment from our insurance company. And, you know, also, I mean, they give it a pretty severe review. They look over it pretty hard as far as anchoring and how it's anchored and fall distance and fall material. And so all of that stuff, I appreciate you trying to, you know, put features in our park, but in all seriousness, I think that should be a function of the city through the city.
Can I leave a list of other things that you guys would mention?
I mean, can he still make a donation?
Absolutely.
Touche.
Thank you, Mr. Rao. All right. Also, any other discussions? I will say that this weekend, the last meeting that we had, we talked about improving our communication with the citizens. And ironically, that Friday after our last meeting, I had a meeting with a gentleman from an organization called APCG, and they actually provide the services for a website, and also they will build the app with it. Now, we're still doing research because we're looking at the price and things along that line, but what I have is just for your review. When you check your emails, you'll be able to check the link out for these other projects that they have presented before, and you'll kind of see their work. But I'll tell you, I went through it and I thought they were very clean, very easy to navigate through, and that's what we want to do, is just kind of make it easier for our citizens to navigate through it. With the app, we would not have to worry about the citizens being on social media. They could download the app and stay informed and updated on anything. All of our alert systems can be done through the app, and they can sign up for whatever notification they want via their phone. So those are some of the things that we kind of talked about. Again, this is not the only company that we're looking at. We're still doing some review, and I'm sure, John, you have any comments on this piece? But that's just for your review, for us to continue to talk about. If you got any ideas as we continue to go forward, or any guidance for the staff, and just let me know. Nothing with that?
I do have one thing for
Okay.
discussion. The summit area is becoming quite a load up there. We'll go with that. So currently, from my knowledge, there's only one school bus stop in the summit. And that is the very first road, the intersection of Mesa and Summit Drive itself, going into the summit. So the school bus comes straight up that hill and it stops. At any given time, that bus stop has 35 to 50 kids sitting at it, because it is the only bus stop in the summit right now. There is another bus stop at the summit, but it's at the bottom of the summit hill, and it's dark most of the time. It's also their snow route pickup. I feel like we need to get with the Waynesville School District and talk to them about putting more bus stops up in the summit, because you figure Cox's side has 60 to 70 homes going in there now. I think Mark's side's got 40 homes probably, or more than that. Alice Street also has homes in it now. So it's a huge amount. If you drive up there at 6:30 in the morning, 2 buses have to stop at that bus stop to pick up all those kids. And then 30 minutes later, more buses come for elementary school kids and everything else. So right now you've got kids in the summit walking from almost the Rubadoo all the way to that summit park to get on a bus. And then from Mark's side, all the way from down where his circles and everything are down. I think he was willing to put a bus stop in down where he's at.
I talked with Brent Bassett right before school started about the intersection of Pinnacle and Sierra Circle being another bus stop, because Pinnacle Place will have 151 units there, so that's a lot for kids. And he wanted to get through the start of school, so I probably should circle back and talk to him again, because I talked to him about that location, he came and actually looked at it, and I just needed him up again. Hey, Brent, school is underway now, let's take a look.
Because it's a lot of kids.
Yeah, that's something that we can take a look at too. as well.
And I've always been kind of sketchy about the bus stop right there at the beginning or the end of Summit Hill, I guess. Because, I mean, everybody knows Summit Hill is fairly steep. That bus peaks over there and them kids are there.
Is it
So
any
cars,
lights in
cars
that
come
area?
up there too. I think there is a light at the Summit Park, or on one side. There's not a whole lot of lighting in the Summit at all, but I do think there is a light there, by the park, but,
Is that something we can talk to them about?
yeah, there's high school kids that come through there at that time of the day too, so you can always imagine.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anybody else have any input for that area? Their concern? Any other discussion from the council members? All right, we do have some items to consider this evening. We have 3 ordinances that have been proposed, and the first ordinance is HB 2023-34, is the vacation of Anderson Street and Phillips additional dispatch. Please read the ordinance.
First reading an ordinance vacating Anderson Street in Waynesville, Missouri, fixing an effective date. Second reading an ordinance vacating Anderson Street in Waynesville, Missouri, fixing an effective date.
I entertain a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Davis.
A second.
Second by Mr. Hyatt. Discussion.
Mayor, I grew up in that neighborhood, and I didn't even know where this Anderson was at. I was like Mr. Doyle, it was over here, closer to the West Side Baptist Church area. So I do know whose homes were there and who owned all the land at one time. Never rode there, and I've been around here since 1963, so.
There was
The
only two-
Anderson Street
There was only
moved-
2 houses there then.
Anderson Street moved a couple of times on the map too.
Horse and buggy went through there.
Well, there was a doctor that owned a lot of that land, and, you know, he lived up there, and his one child lived in another house, and they had a rental house next door. And he built some other rentals going up to the old hospital, which is now, I still call it Piney Bridge, which is not the appropriate
Perimeter
name.
Health.
Perimeter Health.
Yeah, perimeter break or something like that.
You know, it goes back to the old Wire Road days, if you really want to go back in history.
All right, so we will go ahead and vote, call a roll.
Councilman Farnum,
Yes.
Councilman Davis,
Yes.
Councilman Hyatt,
Yes.
Councilman Rice,
Yes.
Councilman Cotton.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. The next proposed ordinance is HB 2023-35, establishing Waynesville Central Dispatch. I'll entertain a motion for this ordinance. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please read the ordinance.
Oh, just gotta read it first.
Am I reading the right one? Well, we're doing dispatch. It's not establishing dispatch either.
Borrow money.
No, I have the grant one, so I guess gotta find it. That's good. I found it. An ordinance creating a city dispatch center, fixing an effective date. Second reading, an ordinance creating a city dispatch center, fixing an effective date.
I entertain a motion for this ordinance, proposed ordinance. Motion by Mr. Conley. Second by Mr. Rice. Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilman Conley,
Yes.
Councilman Rice,
Yes.
Councilman Hyatt,
Yes.
Councilman Davis,
Yes.
Councilman Farnum.
Yes.
All right, next proposed ordinance is HB 2023-36. This is accepting the TAP grant funding for the sidewalks from Cash James Loop to Broadway.
First reading, an ordinance approving an agreement between the City of Waynesville and the Missouri Highways and Transportation Committee for Transportation Alternative Funds, fixing an effective date. Second reading, an ordinance approving an agreement between the City of Waynesville and the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for Transportation Alternative Funds, fixing an effective date.
I entertain a motion for this proposed ordinance.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Farnum, second by Mr. Rice. Discussion? Roll call.
Councilman Farnum,
Yes.
Councilman Davis,
Yes.
Councilman Hyatt,
Yes.
Councilman Rice,
Yes.
Councilman Conley.
Yes.
All right, with that being said, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda is the council comments. And we'll start with Mr. Farnham today and work our way across.
Well, it's that time of year, Halloween is gonna be upon us in a matter of days. And you know, we used to have to worry about people putting maybe a pin or a razor blade in an apple or something, giving it to a kid. But I've been watching some things on the internet and on television with the drug problems in our country and the rise of fentanyl especially. Parents really need to check the candy that the kids get Halloween night. And to me, it's a very serious issue that we somehow got to get that fentanyl stopped from coming across the southern border. Check your kids' candy carefully.
All right, thank you. Mr. Davis?
With the absence of Clarence, I would like to thank the city for all their hard work and keep it up.
Mr. Hyatt?
Very pleased, the city is moving forward and putting sidewalks in. I think that's a great idea, especially what I just saw there. I wasn't aware of all that until tonight. I think that's a wonderful idea. I'm very pleased with it.
All right, Mr. Rice?
Yes, I want to thank Chief Cordova and the Waynesville Police Department for doing such a wonderful job. You guys are very much appreciated.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. Mr. Conley?
The Vietnam era commemorative pinning ceremony. I attended the first one in this area. And if you're a Vietnam vet, especially one that was in country, oh, excuse me, I thought it was on. Especially if you were in country, this is a step in saying welcome home, the welcome home that we never got. And it's December 15th, 1 p.m. at the Ark. It's a good place to go.
All right, thank you, Mr. Conley. With that said, that event that's taking place at the Ark, if you fall within the time periods of November 1st, 1955 to May 15th, 1975, you served as a servicewoman or man in any form or fashion, any part of the country, you qualify for this event. If you can contact Command Sergeant Major retired Freddie Brock at his phone number is 573-528-5997. 573-528-5997, and they'll get you registered for this event. The last event they had in Lebanon, it was about 150 people that showed up. Wow. So we're expecting around that number. So we also want people to come out and support them at this event because of we want to honor them for their service during that era where many people did not honor them the way that they should. With that being said, I also have a couple other things. Tuesday, October 31st is Halloween, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm gonna go with the same times that we had before, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. We good? 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. is the times for trick-or-treating on October 31st, so keep that in mind. We'll share that information on the website, but for those that are just looking at the those that are observing us tonight, this evening, that is the time for our Halloween timeline for the city. Also, I would like to let everyone know about the Entrepreneur Symposium that is going to take place November 3rd. We're going to have some information there for those that aspiring entrepreneurs and those who have 1 to 2 years, or you're in business locally here and you want to learn a little bit more about some funding opportunities, you want to learn a little bit more about being better and improving your business. Doug Pies worked hard on getting this stuff together. We worked together as a team to get this done for our business owners so that you can be successful. if you're not successful, the city's not successful, so we want to try to get you everything that you need to be successful. So you can sign up, go to Eventbrite, and just type in Waynesville or Entrepreneur Symposium. You have to register there right now. We have 40 slots available because of the venue that we have. This is our first one, so if we find that we need more space next time, we will plan accordingly. Right now, we have about half of those seats filled. And I anticipate them being completely full. I will give you this caveat. I've been telling everybody this. If you don't sign up, don't show up, because you might not have a seat. I'm gonna tell you, you need to sign up. You need to sign up now before time to make sure you have a seat. There's gonna be some great information there. Local banks and insurance companies will also be on site to provide any information that you may need with them. But we also have MRPC. We have the Small Business Development Corporation from S&T will be also attending, and several other people giving briefings, and of course our economic developer on how to get licensed here in the city and the proper steps. One of the other things I want to talk about is Pumpkin Fest. Pumpkin Fest takes place on October 28th, but also that day, that's the first day that we have our very own animal shelter that will be conducting a puppy parade where you can dress up your puppy and win prizes for the owner and the puppy. So just come out there and join. You do not need to register for that event. It'll take place at 11 o'clock at the stage. Just be on time, you and your animal, with a leash. So make sure you have a leash or you'll be disqualified. The other thing is we also have that morning a race. It is a fundraiser for the Free Women's Center, and they are having a fundraiser to raise funds for the services they provide here in the city. For those that don't know, they're right there on Route 66, a little bit east of the traffic circle, and it's like $20 for the 3 or 5K, and the kids are free. They also have a 5K that's $25. So if you want to participate, that run will be taking place from 8 o'clock to 11. And also, I want to say a big thank you to our team from the Waynesville High School. We've seen the culinary arts team, but the people that are responsible for putting this production on with the lead of Mr. Wallace, who does a phenomenal job for our production team here. I want to say thank you to Colin, Oscar, and Z. Thank you for making it easy for me, Z. All right, but I want to say thank you for everything that you're doing tonight. And that's all I have. This meeting is adjourned.